Much. Hello, everyone. I acknowledge the traditional homelands of the Sinkotan, Melchosen, Lekwanga, Sanaimu, and Suki peoples. Thank you for the invitation to share with you this morning. I'd like to speak to you about Francesca, my spiritual teacher whom I met in 1977 and who greatly influenced my life. Here is a picture of Francesca. Some of the things I learned from her was service and meditation. I noticed people wearing acrylic pendants at a seminar of spiritual matters I attended. I was immediately drawn to them and was told that Francesca created them. A friend who met her made an appointment for me. We instantly liked each other, and our rapport was natural. Knowing her transformed me mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In 2020, I wrote a book, Francesca, A Remarkable Life. This book is about some of Francesca's teachings, which includes techniques and exercises for visualization and meditation, clearing, discipline, and being of service. Francesca was dedicated to a deep connection with her inner self. She lived a life of service from the heart. Her life was a beautiful example of a life lived with love. Her love of the inner self and the cosmic masters, an invisible master whose being is perceived in the cosmic, was passionate and profound. Francesca was born in Detroit, Michigan, then lived in various cities throughout the United States, and lastly in Toronto. She started her spiritual search when living in Detroit. Francesca spent 54 years on the spiritual path and was devoted and dedicated to it. She had a spiritual teacher for only 3.5 months. Otherwise, her teachings came from her personal masters. Francesca touched the lives of many people. I knew Francesca for 3.5 years. She adopted me as her spiritual daughter. This was the greatest gift of my life. Francesca loved me unconditionally and taught me meditation and discipline. During our time together, I received copies of meditations, communions, and letters. It was a privilege to know her. Francesca was the most loving person I have met. She exuded kindness and warmth. Her attunement with the cosmic, the universe as a harmonious relationship of all natural and spiritual laws, was extraordinary and continued up until the last few months of her life. She was a master teacher, a person who has evolved with the knowledge of universal laws and one who has achieved self-mastery, and an important way shower, a person representing divine qualities who shows the way.
Katrina, can I interrupt just for one little second? We're getting an awful lot of feedback from the paper. So if you can just not keep it as still as possible so we can hear your words. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay. That's good to know.
Thank you.
Francesca kept her word in service to her masters. She lived humbly, and in this was her greatness. She made the most difficult disciplines seem simple and easy. Francesca gave 100% of herself in loving service, always finding time to bring someone comfort, joy, and love. Her teachings reflect a deep inner love and desire that others have the same soul experience. Her rapport with others was natural, and she was highly skilled in putting others at ease. She saw the potential in others and nurtured it, connecting to their soul essences. Francesca was a personification of divine love in action. Her teachings remain timeless. She also wrote stories. Francesca influenced my life in a number of ways. In my work with both children and seniors, compassion, warmth, and caring were qualities inspired by her. She taught me to be more joyful and to bring beauty back into my life. This I aspire to do through my photography. Most of the instructions I learned from Francesca. She taught techniques for meditation to her students and wrote a treatise as dictated by her master. Meditation, quote, is the utilization of concentration directed towards the realization of God, becoming one with Him, within the self. Meditation is concentrated, directed inwards in its subjective and spiritual aspects. You will find yourself in the condition of serenity and the state of no thought. This is the place of golden, vibrant, and glowing silence. Since the goal is the knowledge of the self, meditation shall lead you into the realm of soul and the whispers of the master self. Meditation is for soul realization, one of the holiest events in mortal life. End of quote. Meditation consists of setting aside half an hour to an hour on a daily basis. A 6 count of breathing is practiced at the beginning. Quote, we pray that you will find him within yourself or at your side and be glorified in the peace which this union brings. End of quote. Francesca advised to write down one's thoughts. She taught that the master within will respond to one's questions during meditation. Quote, this relationship is possible for the sincere seeker who has that courage, humility of heart and spirit to approach the step, walk through the door, and sit quietly at his feet and listen. The reply is there before you have spoken. God has heard. He is always there. He always answers. With complete, with complete sincerity, we must confess there is no way, no course on how to become a master in 6 easy lessons, which can justify such a statement. Spiritual enlightenment of cosmic consciousness can only shed their glory through the root of perseverance. Practice, practice, practice with steadfastness of purpose. Francesca had a saying, don't let the outside inside, because the inside is greater than any outside event. When Francesca lived in Oregon, strict discipline became a part of her life. Quote, as time went along and deeper teaching took place, the realities began to unfold and the deeper truths revealed more and more. End of quote. Years of training and preparation followed. Her master demands complete obedience and regular attendance. Francesca said, quote, it is wonderful to be taught through one who introduces other masters to me for the furtherance of my education. It is worthwhile. It is important. It is worth every moment spent in yearning for the ultimate union with God's soul, for identification. He lives. He lives in me. He is, and I am that. Francesca taught classes in San Jose, California. She was devoted to a life of service. Even in the most difficult of times, we need to think about being of service. Francesca was a wonderful example of this. When she started on the spiritual path, she prayed to be of service. The next day, she was asked to help a neighbor. For 27 years, she served for free. She was not allowed to charge fees until later in life. She explained that, quote, one can serve others by kindness, thoughtfulness, doing something for someone which they might not be able to do for themselves at a certain time in their life, end of quote. Service can be giving someone comfort, giving a hug, or smiling. Much of Francesca's service was through correspondence. In 1979, she typed 17,750 words in letters in 1 week. Service was also devotion to the master within. She stated that love is service and that service embodies love. Love was the greatest motivator in Francesca's life. She was dedicated to doing his will always. Quote, it is being constantly on the alert to who needs me. It wasn't a big thing, but it was something. Sometimes it was only a bowl of soup or holding someone's hand while they cried their heart out. Sometimes it was a pat on the back when I felt that my arms were needed around them. Are these small missions? Are they big missions? Are they important? I think they are very important. It is what we came for if we want to answer ourselves. We came to make our own little world in which we live a better place to be. We take our little world with us every place we walk. And if we take a happy and loving world with us, we bring that to another. Thus, in effect, we are creators just as God wished us to be. Those are purposes. Those are missions. End of quote. This quote can be found in chapter 8 of the book. This life of service was Francesca's mission, and she fulfilled it beautifully. She was thorough in her giving. She gave her time, knowledge, compassion, love, and experience. Her master suggested a technique for bringing comfort to oneself. I invite you now to join me if you wish in this technique I learned to bring comfort. Close your eyes and place your hand over your heart. Quote, when one is sad, lonely, ill, or distressed, imagine that in the center of your heart, a small figure of the Master is seated. Place your hand upon the heart as though you were knocking on the door, waiting for him to step forth. Observe as he rises and comes out of the doorway of your heart to greet you. See him as living and moving through your body from the center of your heart. Speak with him, asking him to bless your heart and you. Realize this, observing then as he blesses each part of your body. Be joyous with him. Be happy as you feel this closeness with him. Know that he is always there, that unconscious master that you need. Touch the doorway of your heart and say, Master, I need the comfort of your presence. Please let me talk with you. Walk with me. He is everywhere at once. His power is love, which can correct all conditions. Only you and the Master within can commune together alone in the pillow of your heart. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. He is there, for he is thee. Don't separate yourself from him, for the master is nowhere else but within your heart. You may open your eyes. During one of the classes in San Jose, Francesca's master dictated the following excerpt. It isn't what you know, but what you do with what you know, which is recognized by the cosmic. It isn't who you are, but how you are, which is recognized by the cosmic. It isn't what you have, but what you do with what you have, which is recognized by the cosmic. It isn't how much you received, but what you can give, which is recognized by the cosmic. Another technique I learned from Francesca was practicing visualization. She thought that it was important to mentally image a plan and see those desired plans as fulfilled. One needs to have a strong and true desire. Visualizing in the present was essential. Quote, create image of one thing, live it, block all other impressions. See oneself doing it in the now and having it in the now. Think of a situation one would like to have brought about. Example, friendship with someone, harmony at home, greater popularity, more success, etc. Include oneself in the imagery, experiencing it already. End of quote. All the teachings exemplify a highly disciplined individual. Her meditations, communion periods, and correspondence were all excellent examples of time management skills. Quote, discipline must have some token reward to it because one wants approval from one's higher self, the master self. One feels much happier then. End of quote. Many people find it difficult to meditate. Francesca gave me some guidelines. Quote, there were active and inactive phases of meditation. Let the thoughts to flow through. Release and let go of any negative thoughts. The thoughts will eventually peter out to a silent pause. Then there is a true form of deep communion. Find a special time each day. Realize that one cannot make one's mind a blank. Obey the guidance received. Write down the start and finish times. One can sit and be alert. Listen carefully. A true meditative state is being mentally alert. One can become sensitive and more attuned to a much higher channel. One can find joy in absolute silence of thought. Then one is in a subjective state by being halfway between being awake and being asleep. In conclusion, I would like to end with a quote about love. Love is a powerful energy. Love impresses the self in form, for love is a form of consciousness, which is in levels, degrees of energy. We can form it and do in physical, spiritual, all-inclusive, personal and impersonal manner, and in universal manner. The divine form manifesting on earth impresses itself through a channel, so others would feel the impact of this love energy. This love energy is not only felt, but it can be observed. For those who are interested, the book is available on Amazon. Thank you.